in what world do we think that if there are 900,000 students, 800 of them are not aspiring to go to Alliance? Have we equipped all the schools within C1 to be equal, so that now we're telling kids, whether you go to Alliance or you go to Lokichogyo, let's say Lokichogyo Secondary has also been placed within the C1 conversation, that, this is it. I remember there's a time I was reading some judgment. I think it's called Justice Lenaola, and he talked about the interconnectedness of everything. And I think he was talking about it with regards to this case that he was trying, about this family that was moved out of their home. I think they used to live in the railway. There was a time there was a massive eviction for residents in the railway, I think they were railway workers, and then they were told to move. And, just when they were seeking compensation, I think she was called Satrosa Yuma.
Yes.
And when they were seeking compensation, one of the things that Lenaola talked about was how interconnected everything was, from water to education to that house to and I thought about it even as I grew my journey into understanding the context of a child, and then build that up into theories of ecological systems and the child's ecosystem.
Yes.
And all that for me culminates to, we are ignoring all that and putting a tunnel vision on this child. We're assuming that, this is it. You follow this tunnel. But this child is going through a congested classroom, whereby, as you said, you talked about opportunities. How much data do we have to say that these children are actually receiving opportunities at that junior school level? Because that's when it's supposed to be the age of awareness, isn't it?
Yes.
And now they're thinking, what opportunities are there? But how many of them are actually just grappling to even get books? Let's talk about even the capitation conversation that is in the country right now, where children are being given the same amount of money that they were being given in 844. In a system that is supposed to be more practical, the system that's supposed to be more diverse in terms of understanding them. We're talking about children who receive capitation funds in the middle of the term.
Yeah.
This teacher is not going to have the capacity. He's looking for chalk, literally. This teacher is literally looking for chalk. At what point are they going to start thinking, let me go and find opportunities for my children. Let me go find for them crickets.
Exactly.
You understand my point? So for me, I think strongly, this is a point where I feel as one of, and I say this with a lot of, because I was one of the biggest proponents of this curriculum. This is where I feel like they dropped the ball. Because it was not contextualized to the child's ecosystem. And I know there'll never be a perfect situation, but it is very elitist in the way it's assuming things. First of all, it's making a lot of assumptions without realizing that I am sure if data was to be put on the table, I don't have the data, so I say this with a lot of, allegedly situation.
Yes.
Maybe I think honestly 80% of people do not really understand what is going to happen at this stage. And I think at that point when I know there's that situation of tusonge mbele, we shall know the way forward as we move, which is good. Let's adapt to the changes and everything. But the economics of education themselves, in terms of the classroom sizes, in terms of the distribution of resources, in terms of teacher preparedness, in terms of training, in terms of the economic situation of most parents, in terms of family structures, in terms of resources, in terms of available knowledge, a knowledge base that we can be able to use. Most people, and I believe a majority of the country right now, is not ready for selection. And that's why I was saying, why don't we just go just a step back and say, okay, let's now reverse this conversation and say, what are we doing outside the conversation of curriculum? Outside the ideal 536 lessons and compulsory, let's step away from that and say, what is child X experiencing? And how is it going to impact that choice? You know what I mean? Because you said it yourself. Let me go back to my experience. At the point at which I had to pick what I was to study what I was given, which alhamdulillah, I'm here because of it. I did the education, I'm here. But at the point at which it was being given, there was not much choice, even because of the context of where I was, in terms of financially, in terms of the resources that were available. Very little people were able to give me guidance as to what actually it was. I remember I went to see someone who was supposed to be influential. I think he was like a director of education somewhere. I don't remember his name, but I remember my mom pulled strings through his secretary for me to go see him, in the hopes that I will get like a what we call like a scholarship to go to Egypt. Remember, there was this thing. And then he told me, you can't get that scholarship because you have a higher grade than what is expected. So I'm telling him, look, these are my papers. And he started laughing. And he told me, yani hao walikuita kosi ya kwenda kuosha watoto, and he used another word that I'm not going to use on the podcast. But how many of those kids at 12, at 14 are going to have that same question?
Yeah.
And they do not have any inkling of what to do with that.
I know.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then we talk about, the C1 schools and C2. What is the keeper? Even as we talk about, what is the identifier? How transparent is it? And in what world do we think that if there are 900,000 students, 800 of them are not aspiring to go to Alliance? Have we equipped all the schools within C1 to be equal, so that now we're telling kids, whether you go to Alliance or you go to Lokichogyo, let's say Lokichogyo Secondary has also been placed within the C1 conversation, that, this is it. Are we assuming then that the mind shift has just happened so quickly that people are not going to be, people are not going to go back to that, wacha tukalipe tuingie hizi shule? All these things for me are screaming, we were not ready for this conversation. And I feel like at that point when we started the junior secondary, there should have been a mind shift at that point, and a deliberate effort by the government to improve the quality of these schools, so that we can remove ourselves from that conversation of one school is better than the other. Because schools are literally in the animal farm perspective. And so for me, I would debate you on because I appreciate your sentiments that this, and I agree with you that there is an ideal situation. We actually, it is an aspiration to get to that level of, and that's why I said the happy path.
Yeah.
But can we take a step back?
Yeah.
And say, look, wait a minute. Yeah. Let's look at it.
Everything resonates. Yeah. Everything you're saying resonates. This entire government's approach to CBC has always been 9 months to 6 months ahead.
Yes.
And nothing more than
at
that.
Best.
At best.
Yes, at best.
So you remember when everyone was saying, will junior secondary be in primary schools or in there?
Yeah.
And that decision was only made.
It was a political decision.
Like months, like months to it.
Yeah.
I remember somebody losing her job because she attempted to stop the implementation of CBC when it was entering.
I remember I took us back to 844.
When it was going from grade 3 into grade 4, it was like, guys, let's
pause kwanza.
So what I'm saying is, the designers have done their part, where we have designed what the path will be.
Yeah.
Now, there are all these other actors and circumstances that have to be dealt with.
Yeah.
And it's either going to be a very easy job or a very difficult job.
Yeah.
Because the chief ingredient is goodwill.
That's true.
If the goodwill is there, the schools will be properly funded, resources will be properly distributed, all those things will happen. But if the goodwill is missing, that's when you'll hear all this man of debates.
Yeah.
There are other forces to balance, like the unions and what they do to twist people, the various interests across the board that they do to twist. Then remember also where this curriculum came from. This curriculum came from Kibaki lifting a certain thing like this, saying we have a new constitution.
Yeah, that's true. It was guided by that, actually.
And they decided that for Vision 2030, which by the way, I cannot believe it's only a few years from now.
Good, yeah.
Okay.
It's 5.
Yeah, it's only 5 years. They said that for Vision 2030, we want our country to have a certain look and feel. Okay?
Yeah.
We want our country to be industrialized. So, back to the illusion of choice.
Yeah.
Out of the 538 subject combinations, only 82 of them are in the arts and sports science category. 250 something are in the STEM category. So when I say illusion of choice here, I mean, what if it was the opposite? What if we had 250, as in what if the majority of students were more interested in arts and sports science? But the country, from in its design, has said its citizens, the majority of them,
actually, it's
will
supposed
be
to take
STEM
70%.
people.
Yes.
So
Yes.
the country has decided that.
Yes.
Okay. So there's a certain illusion of choice that we do have.
Yeah.
Now, to take care of the people who are in this more difficult backgrounds, etc., the algorithm they use attempts to cure that a bit. I don't know how meaningful the curing is.
Yeah.
Whereby they try to favor more people from the more under-resourced or the more difficult environments.
What's it called?
It's it's a bit affirmative in nature.
Affirmative action,
as far as, so the algorithm attempts to resolve it that way. So those are things as a country we can only do in the meantime.
That's true.
As we push ourselves towards making sure that everything is actually better. And you see the agitation, the day-to-day agitation. Like you see that we have mandamano every day.
Yeah.
That we have all this agitation over time.
Yeah.
This agitation moves the needle. Like more and more citizens are getting better protections.
Yeah.
Because of the people are more aware that ukiguza watu, this kind of things. So similarly in the education sector, your voice right now.
Yeah.
And what you're saying is 100% correct and 100% real. And it forces the conversation that, hey, before we wait for this placement business, can we fix the schools?
That's true.
And it forces the conversation in that direction. So the designers did their part where they've designed the ideal. And the moment it's July 2025, these children have to be in class in January 2026.
Absolutely.
And some things cannot change
within a span of 6 months,
and
5 months.
Certain movements have to be made. So to me, I'm 100% acknowledging everything you're saying. And at the same time, also appreciating how our country has evolved. And there've been very many wrong things done.
Yeah.
But fact of the matter is, 1 million or so children are sitting the exams this year and are waiting to be placed.
Absolutely.
And we have to basically deal with the hand we've been, as in we have to work with the hand we've been dealt with these kids. So I'm looking at it for me from that very pragmatic version, while at the same time acknowledging that now, immediately, work needs to continue. Now, the other thing also, which needs to be said, is among the secondary schools, how many of them are private? 1,000 and something.
And majority of
them, they're huge, as in, I don't know the exact number, but I know that about almost 10,000 public schools.
Yes.
And maybe about 1,000 to 2,000 private.
Private, I think for 1573, I think that's the last
Something
time
like
I see. Yeah.
Now, you look at the primary side, where this equity and quality conversation has been going on for a long time. What is the balance?
There's no balance.
It's about 33% public.
Yes.
And about 17,000 or thereabouts.
Yeah.
Private. So you see the number is huge.
And they're all coming to trickle down into that one small.
But now what will happen
Yeah.
is there'll be more private senior schools.
Oh, yeah.
Because somebody said me, I wanted to do aviation, computer, and physics.
There's going to be an opening up.
Agriculture,
Yeah.
and whatever, and that's not what I wanted.
The private schools are
So
going to
somebody's
open
going
up.
to create a private school.
Yeah.
So you'll find a rise in private schools.
Yes.
That's going to accommodate that.
Yeah.
And it will help cure some of it. It
will cushion the blow.
But it will cushion the blow.
That's true.
So there's always going to be, this energy will move somewhere and come out somewhere. Yeah. But you're 100% correct that we need education that works for the majority.
That's true.
It is a very critical thing.
And acknowledging all this as we now maybe wind up into the main question, or let us go back to the grassroots. What is a parent supposed to do at this point? What are some of the ways you feel what kind of steps can they take for a child, especially the ones who are doing the exams now and also the assessments now, the KJSR, and also that it means they're the first cohort, and also just the ones just coming slightly behind them. What are some of the ways you could say this is what you could be able to do to ensure that you don't, or not really don't, but guide your child? What are some of the things you could maybe advise?
So the first thing I'd advise is keep your child focused on what matters, which is to get an education. That means on a day-to-day basis, do what they're supposed to do on a day-to-day basis. Guide the child to be able to perform during certain circumstances.
Yeah.
Like if there's an exam before them, let them not say, exams are not important.
Oh, yeah.
Let them do what is supposed to be done.
Yes.
Guide your child also to have a certain level of resilience and flexibility. And at this age, this is the age to really get them in that mental mode, where they realize that there are so many ways out. For example, you see this pathway, this track called sports.
Sports sciences.
Yes, many people normally stop at sports. In fact, I was saying it as a trick question for you. But yes, it is a science.
It's a science. It's actually a science. Yeah.
Sports science. It's not mchezo.
Yes.
Ati
aliandikiwa
aenda afanye mchezo. No, it's sports science.
Yes.
It's a science.
Yeah.
So if somebody gets placed in sports science, they can still end up being computer scientists.
That's true.
Because among the cluster subjects there that they can choose is sports and recreation, computer science, and something else, maybe chemistry.
And on top of that, they are supposed to have been building their competencies around communication and collaboration, learning to learn. So they are building up
they
on
can
other
even
skills.
Be doctors via the sports science pathway.
Yes, exactly.
Because they're still doing mathematics.
Exactly.
English and all that. Then they can make chemistry, sports and recreation, and something else. The possibilities are endless. So what I'm saying is parents can also guide students that there are there's more than one route to reach that destination.
That's good.
And that they should really have that flexibility and resilience, and to know that if you don't get what you feel you're supposed to get, understand that you live in a world where there are several forces at play. Yeah. So maybe it's more comforting if I say you will get what you want and what you pray for.
Absolutely.
But the reality that you really have to contend with is that you do your best, and you try to work the best way possible with the kind of system and circumstances we have, even as we agitate for change and for those ideal scenarios, which for me I firmly believe will happen for as long as people like you are in schools and running schools, for as long as people are there asking the questions that you're asking, and actually actualizing it. Those changes will be seen. Absolutely.
And I think as you said, there's no where we are. It's a matter of acknowledging where we are at and being realistic and not romanticizing this idea, and just acknowledging that we're in this pit, but it's possible to get out one way or another, and hoping that the key stakeholders in whatever capacity will be able to build up on those blocks to ensure that these children get more clarity of vision, get the support they need, so that they make this process even more seamless, provide them with opportunities for them to be able to make those informed choices, as well, of course, as empower teachers and parents to help them and support them and facilitate this growth for them. So I think that will give us our final, I think I'll ask for your final thoughts, and then we can hear.
Yeah. No, I think I more or less have said, honestly, the final thoughts that there are very many interesting opportunities, honestly speaking, when it comes to this curriculum and when it comes to the various subject combinations people can pick. I really like the diversity that exists. It existed before, but it now exists in a more transparent framework, where right from the beginning, like you do not have to end up in Mangu in Form 1 to end up with aviation later. You can actually get aviation as a choice for you right from the beginning. I don't want to say the things that will only affect a few people, but there are also the people who are more interested in, let's say, for example, somebody can pick a pathway like Fasihi ya Kiswahili, English literature, and French in the optional subjects, those three. And then in the 4 compulsory, they do English also, and Kiswahili, and then they do essential mathematics, the one that's easy for them, and PE. That child will have the best time ever if they are more of a language-oriented child. Yes. They will not have a high school experience that is, because
they're doing that which is good for them.
They're doing, they're very comfortable, with French. They can pick up languages. So they do French, Fasihi ya Kiswahili, English literature on top of English and Kiswahili, and essential mathematics and PE. That child will succeed. That child will enjoy themselves. I want us to look at it from that perspective as well. So many more people will be very fulfilled as well. So it's not all negative and all difficult. There are so many other people who are now going to really come to life because of the possibilities of subjects they can pick. I think that would be my final thought.
And thank you so much. And I think even just to close, I think the one thing that I would say, especially to parents and teachers, just again, don't forget the competencies, because this, as you said, some of these things, the way you communicate, the collaboration skills that you build up, the learning to learn, the digital learning, all these things will culminate into something. And let's not just focus on the because as I said, now we're going back to the, people are thinking about it very subject based and all that, but let's not forget the competencies, because those skills are skills that will guide you throughout your career, whether you become, as you said, a pilot, whether you become a scientist, all these skills will just catapult you to a higher level than all your learners in your class or in your cohort, and they'll make you an even better skilled person to be able to move into the the world future of work, because we don't know how it looks at the point. We're just predicting based on the trends right now. So I just hope that, as I said earlier, that being cognizant of the change of the challenges, we can make the decisions, the tough decisions, to ensure that we move towards the ideal with intent, with passion, and actually with just an understanding of the context of the child. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much, Mike, again for coming through. We really appreciate you, and I hope to see you again next time. So thank you, everyone. Please don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe, and we shall leave the links to the CBC app down here for you to check it out, as well as other bios. Thank you very much once again, and God bless. Have a good one.